Good afternoon, Facebook. Good afternoon. How y'all doing? How are you doing? Listen, I'm just going to jump up here and I'm going to say, Lord God Almighty. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I feel heavily convicted in my spirit, especially when I know that God has shared something with me. And then he brings me to a point of remembering. And I've been saying, forgive me for hours, for hours. Look, guys, I'm going to try to make this as short as possible. I had a procedure yesterday, and I'm still, I'm not really sure if I'm having a reaction or whatever, but I'm trying my best to get out of that place, get out of that place where feeling comfortable enough to do something. I'm trying to break that. I really am. And I know that we're harder on ourselves than anybody else can actually be. You know what I mean? So moving forward, I just wanted to share something with you. Um, I met, when I moved to this state, and I met another individual that we had some things in common, but I know that she didn't get the help or the treatments and everything, and I was more aware of, of the situations. So she deals with trauma, abuse, damage, all that stuff, and likewise myself. So I would notice that she, this was months back. I would notice that she would say hurtful things to me. And I would say something to her. But then there was a situation where I said, she can't help it. I said, she really can't help it because she doesn't know any better. So there was a time that I was on the phone with a relative and I was around this lady. And my relative heard what she had said, and she was very upset. She was taken way back from it, and she said, Sonia, I don't like you being around her. She says she's very cruel to you, and you're so nice. You're trying to help her. She says you need to stay away from her. So what I did was I tried to explain to my family that people need a chance. They need someone to show them love. Even though they say they don't want the love, they don't care who loves them or whatever. I know for sure that that's not true. So my cousin said this to me and everything, and of course I ignored it and I kept on and I kept on. And then there was a situation that happened where I was at her house. We was having girls' night, and I had made a mistake, and I think I dropped a knife on the floor one moment. The next thing you know, I had dropped my piece of bread, and she cursed me out. Like, who does that? Who does that? Why would a person do that? And I got upset only because I was abused verbally, emotionally, and mentally. So I remember that very bad place all over again when I was a little girl. I remember, and I was like, okay, I have to cut her off. And I knew that that was God's way right there of showing me that you've offered yourself, you've showed your compassion, you showed your empathy, your sympathy for her. But I have to remind you that even though you went through what you went through and you were able to recognize this, that I'm still working on you. You're not ready to the extreme of helping someone like this. Remove yourself. Be polite, be kind, but as far as befriending them, you can't do this. So what I did was, I distanced myself, but I can honestly say the way that I distanced myself, I literally stopped speaking. And I says, okay, that's not how it's supposed to be. My way, let me share with you how the trick of the enemy goes. I says, Sonia, you cut her off like she's a stranger. You know what this place is like. You got to do this thing over, Sonia. Okay? My way, or my thought was, get it back to the point where you can at least say, how are you doing? Or hello, you need help getting your bags in. But then remove yourself. That was how it was supposed to go. But you see how this trick of the enemy goes? Satan says, I need to beat you up. I don't like the fact that you're healing. I don't like the fact that you're getting to a position where you can recognize it. I'm going to bait you back in so I can beat you up some more. So, one thing led to another. Here recently, and I found myself right back in her home. Right back having lunch with her. It would always start off good. But guess what? The abuse came right back. Because I didn't set the boundary the way that I was supposed to by leaving it exactly the way that God said, I will allow it. I will allow you to get back on the terms of saying hello, goodbye, but that is it. So what did Sonia do? Sonia went right back in, diving right back in so I can get beat up and everything all over again. So let's jump to what happened. One day, about 4 days ago, I knocked on her door just to see if she wanted to hang out, and all of us sit around and talk and everything. It started off good, and then all of a sudden, the people that we were around, she brought up a situation about her and I to see, so they can understand why she was the way she was. And the gentleman that we were talking to had said to her, these scenarios, these examples that you're giving us makes no sense. Because what we see is that you have no family here, and you finally found an individual that you do not know that cares. And that's something that you're not used to, right? So she looked, and instead of her understanding this, I think what it was is she became even more envious. Like, I can't win with this girl. She struggles with some things, and the things that she struggles with, she pays money. And so what she did was, I'm going to share with you how the enemy comes at you with this. What she did was, she called me and she says to me, I want you to hold my money for me. I trust you. Do you know how good that made me feel? You trusting me? Oh, wow. Right? But here's the trick of the enemy. She didn't go to anyone else that I know. It's one other person that has set boundaries with her. That person set boundaries because they stay in their own house. They see her on occasions, but they have their own life. She came to me, and my head was blown because I thought, I must be somebody. Well, here's the thing. She told me not to give her money, no matter what. So the very first day that she gave it to me, I want to say maybe an hour went by, she was asking for money. And I refused to give her the amount, so I said, I'll give you $5. I'll take that. I had my procedure done yesterday. By the time I got out of the cab, she was at the door asking how was I doing. And she said to me, hey, I need that. And I said, you haven't gotten any rest. That was all I said to her. And she cursed me out. And I came in my house. I got her money. I went to her in her home. Before you know it, I said words because I felt like, hey, she's saying this stuff to me and I'm trying to help her. Well, let me say what I got to say to her. Let me tell you something. I gave her money to her. But from that point on, who did this to me? Me. It wasn't her. It was me that did this. She could not do no more than what I allowed. And guess what? God had already told me to tread lightly. God had already told me to set my boundaries. But I allowed the enemy to bait me right in to make me feel as though I had did something. I had accomplished something that I'm working on something here. And all it was the trick of the enemy. And then I find out when God spoke to me and says, she gave you this money because she wanted to have a level of control by having something that belongs to her. She didn't give it to the other individual because already they're not even going to take it. They're going to say, you're a grown woman. I didn't do that. I looked at it in a total different direction. Guys, I just wanted to come up here and say this to you because know that when you become saved, I know that I thought years ago when you get saved and everything that you deal with that's horribly wrong and, even if it's not your fault or whatever, God just takes everything away. But it does not work like that. He works on us accordingly. When he removes things, he removes it in modification of showing you why it happened in the beginning, showing you how you dealt with it as it was going on. And he used your everyday circumstances of getting you in the shape that you're supposed to get in. And while he's doing these things, you have to be so careful. You have to be so careful. God, again, I just ask for forgiveness for not listening to your voice. And yes, I'm one of the ones that will beat myself up because I've been feeling so bad behind it, This lady, she used this situation yesterday to make me feel this small. In spite of me being there, in spite of me loving on her. But at the end of the day, I knew this about her. So it's not a surprise, of her actions and stuff. So you ask yourself, who's really doing it? Who are you really mad at? Are you mad at the individual or are you mad at yourself? So I have to honestly sit here and say, I'm mad at myself. You know what I mean? I'm so upset with myself. And I'm just, I've been in prayer and I'm like saying, God, please help me, hold my hand, direct my path, guide me, with my thinking. Because when you come from places of brokenness, abuse, trauma, and, just disaster and stuff, if God really wanted to wipe it all away, that's not love. The love that he has is showing us why it happened in the very beginning, So, yeah. It's just been really crazy. I mean, I was blocked, even on Facebook. Let me tell you guys, when we become hurt, Some of us become physically revengeful, emotionally, mentally. And I'm going to tell you guys, it was so bad with my pain and my hurt and everything that I wanted to get on the phone. I don't know her family, but I wanted to get on her Facebook and find out who her family was and not literally call them, but put a post up there and do a forgiveness and stuff just to shame her, right? But God says, no, you're not even going to do that. So I shut that down. But then it got to a point where I noticed that she blocked me anyway on my Facebook. So this is one of these things where, um, I believe in confessions. I try to get my healing in every positive way that I can possibly get it. Guys, you have to be so careful. When God tells you something, He's not going to keep pounding it and pounding it in your head. He's going to say it to you. And we are the ones that have to receive it. And you trust me and believe when when you don't listen to him, if you do not obey his command, there will be repercussions, there will be consequences. And I can honestly say that I dealt with the uncomfortable consequences. It saddens me a lot. It really does, because what I did do, um, I asked her for forgiveness. I did. I asked her for forgiveness for being bitter and the words that I even said out of my mouth, because she doesn't know any better. When we talk about, the Word of God, she doesn't know any better, but I do. And so I asked for forgiveness, and I do know this, by me asking for forgiveness and by me asking God for forgiveness. Now, that thing where he says, vengeance is mine. So yeah, I've been crying for her, because I know that God takes care of his people. And I fear his power, because there's no limitations when it comes to him, because he can do anything. And I don't want to sound like I'm putting anything bad on anyone, but something is going to happen. I wish that it could be a situation where she can make this thing right before that, but I don't see it. I see that what's going to happen is going to be something drastically that's going to happen to her. Um, and she may not even have the opportunity to even ask me for forgiveness. All right, guys. Talk to you again soon.